Welcome to my video on my home server build. The build is based around a CIT Mini ITX case which was purchased from eBay for around about £30 including the power supply. The motherboard has been fitted in the case. Here we have an Asus motherboard. It's based to support the AMD Athlon or Sempron range of processors. Here we have an Athlon 4-core processor running around about 2 GHz. The motherboard takes up to 32 GB of RAM. Here we have two 4 GB sticks. Both sticks are DDR3 1600 RAM. Fitting of the processor was very straightforward. Board is well laid out, nicely laid out, ample access to the SATA connections and header pins. Power supply 300 watt as stated. The only thing I noticed was that the fan was on the base of the power supply, so that meant fitting it upside down into the case so there's plenty of airflow. No real problem because the screw fittings are allowing the reversal of such a power supply. .300 watts should be ample for this build. The power supply came with the usual connections, the Molex connections, and even a connection for a floppy drive, so it's a bit dated. The only disappointment I had was that there's just one SATA connection, mainly as this PC is designed as a small machine which would probably have just one drive. As I was fitting a larger data drive, them in a bit of jiggery pokery. Here we had fun fitting the original system drive, which is 250 gig. The bracket I fitted on the side there is supported by a stud which is just down the inside of the case. The area where it was fitted was originally designed for a 2.5 inch drive, so the fitting of a 3.5 inch drive in there was quite tight. Here we are shoehorning the drive in. As you can see, cabling is quite tight in there, but eventually the drive drops into place and we can get attachment by a couple of screws, one at either side. Here fitting the screw to the stud that I fitted earlier in the base of the case, and then it's a simple matter of finishing off by attaching the second screw through the side of the housing on the base of the case. This resulted in quite a nice secure fitment of the main system drive. The second drive is a 2 terabyte 7200 spin speed. This I had to jiggle around to fit a couple of the supporting bars. The case had 3 supporting bars going front to back, pre-drilled with holes, so that it was quite possible to fit additional drives in there. Although I'm not 100% certain the case was designed for that, but it's strange how the holes actually did fit and make up to the hard drive, so obviously maybe there was some design in there and thinking about that. Anyway, it's quite simple to fit, as I say, screws either side, drop the rails in. The space at the back of the drive was rather tight due to the fact that I had to buy an adapter to give me another connection to the power supply. This was purchased from Maplins for about $4.99 and included a SATA data cable. Here we're just tidying up some of the wiring as I then finally secure the brackets down using 4 small screws. Initially I put the screws in nice and loose so that I could just adjust the fitment, and then once I was happy with it I went back round and we tightened them up nice and tight. Once these cross bracket rails are installed, it's quite surprising how sturdy the case becomes. This final rail was put in place and strengthens up that end of the case, which also helps when you're plugging connectors into the back plane on the IOU ports. Very, very pleased with the case. No sharp edges, and for the money, very, very good value indeed. So all that's left to do now was to go round, check all the connections, make sure all the RAM is seated, give it another shove home to make sure it's sitting there nice and tight. All the cables are nicely laid in and out of the way of fans, etc. And once I was sort of happy with that the cabling was fine, the last thing I had to do there and then was to simply fit the top part of the case, which again, very straightforward, just drops in and is attached by 4 screws. Well, that really concludes this video on my home server build. All what's left now is to install Windows 2011 server, home server, and copy across my DVD collection, and thank you for watching, much appreciated. Bye for now.